Welcome to Dice Doodles, the show where I am a slave to my dice and do exactly as they say, at least in regards to character design. The dice tell us what to draw based on my Dice Doodle map, and then we design a character in Procreate and animate it in Moho Pro animation software. Today we have been commanded to draw an alien slow loris using 2 rounded triangles. If you want to do your own Dice Doodles, you can download my Dice Doodle map for free from the link in the comments. Have a whack at it and tag me when you post it. I'm at animation.bakery everywhere, or you can tag my personal account at jeffbakerdraws. The first thing we're going to do is select a color palette. I am terrible at picking colors, so in the spirit of randomness that this show embodies, I like to use an app called Coolers that randomly generates a color palette. I just grab the first one that comes up and run with it. I'm also going to grab some reference images of slow lorises by screen capping a Google image search. I start by importing the screen grab of the color palette and creating a new color palette in Procreate using those colors. For each color, I like to grab a lighter and a darker version from within the same swatch square. I'm going to start by roughing up my character. I think the 2 rounded triangles are going to be its head and body, and I'll position them in opposition to each other to make kind of an hourglass silhouette. Ladies, I don't know why I said that. Am I implying that I have an hourglass silhouette? I have more of a potato sack silhouette. Ladies. Slow lorises are like sloth lemurs? So I'm going to give it giant effing eyes. Also, because it's an alien, we have some creative liberties here. I'm going to give it long slothy arms, but held close to its chest, kind of like how E.T. stands. Oh look! Slow lorises are marsupials. I legit did not know that. Let's give the alien an alien baby. I'm also going to give it a weird head antenna for no reason. I am going to flip the sketch image to help me see any mistakes or weird proportions. Our eyes can get used to how our drawings look and it hides the mistakes from us. So flipping them if you are working digitally or holding them up to a mirror when you're working the old-fashioned way really helps point out all the areas that you are deficient in so you can feel bad and beat yourself up. Get better at drawing good. So I am going to fix some things and flip it back and forth to get a good idea of how this needs to look overall. The sketch looks good, so I'm going to move on to the outline/line art. I'm going to reduce the layer opacity on my sketch and create a new layer on top of that for the line art. For this series, I am avoiding using black outlines, so I try and use just a darker version of one of the colors that I'm going to use as the fill color in the drawing. For the outlines, I'm going to be using the dry ink brush, which is one of the default Procreate ink brushes in the brush library, just in case you want to copy me or model yourself and your work after me because you think I'm so talented and stuff. It's okay, you're allowed. So I'm going to be switching the outline color up depending on the part of the body I'm drawing and what I'm planning for the fill color to be. For the flat colors, I'm creating a new layer underneath the line layer and hiding the sketch layer, and I'm using the lasso select tool to make an outline of the character's silhouette so I can fill it with a base color to build the rest of the colors off of. I'm going to fill the base color with this yellow color because I don't really have any other plans to use it anywhere else. For the individual colors, I'm creating a new layer and I'm using the Eagle Hawk brush, which is another default Procreate brush in the drawing section of the brush library. It's a little wild and may go outside the lines a bit, but that's the kind of vibe I'm going for. I want to make it look a little bit messy because I really want it to have more of a hand-drawn feel when we rig and animate it. I'm putting in the basic color and then letting the natural opacity of the brush layer in some shading as I go. I'll also go back over this with an actual shading layer later. For the actual shading, I'm creating a new layer and setting its blending mode to multiply. I'm going to use this lighter blue as the shading color, which will be darkened up by the multiply blending mode. All of her shapes are really round, so the shading is going to look like it's curving around the bottom. I'm going to be pretty simple here. If I was trying to render a more realistic painting, I would have to consider some ambient occlusion and light bouncing, but for now, shadows curve around the bottom half of the round things. For the lighting, I'm creating a new layer on top of the shadow layer and the color layer, but still underneath the outline/line art layer. I'm setting its blending mode to add, and I'm using a lighter yellow as my color. I want to add a color gradient to the image. If you're working in Photoshop, you can just use the gradient brush, but if you're working in Procreate, you can't, so there is a workaround for Procreate. First, merge your existing color layers together. You can include the line art in the merge if you want, but I like to leave it out. Next, create a new layer on top of the merged layer, set the blending mode to multiply, Pick the color you want to use for the gradient and then go to the selections menu by tapping the arrow on the top of the screen. Set the selector to square select and use it to make a selection box of the bottom part of your drawing. Use the color fill tool to fill the box and then set the layer to clipping mask. Go to the filters menu and select Gaussian blur. Crank it up to where you like, but I typically go around 50%. Then I like to use the warp tool to adjust the gradient to where I like it on the drawing. I'm also going to use the original color palette image to create some color variations. To do this, I'm going to make it the size of my screen using the distort tool so that there is nothing that is not the color palette visible. Then I will use the Gaussian blur until there isn't any delineation between colors, around 70% in this case. I'm going to set it to clipping mask, and then I'm going to try out different blending modes until I find something that I like. In this case, I'm going to go with color dodge and put the layer on a lowered opacity. And we're all done! Just as the dice commanded! An alien slow loris designed in Procreate. Sign your name and export it as a PNG so we can start building the animation rig in Moho Pro. If you want to do your own Dice Doodles, you can download my Dice Doodle map for free from the link in the comments. Have a whack at it and tag me when you post it. I'm at animation.bakery everywhere, or you could tag me on my personal account at JeffBakerDraws. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be posting a new Dice Doodles video every Friday with new characters as the dice commands, as well as my other animations you can see throughout the week, like the mundane life of John Orkman and the Eldritch Cuties. Have a great week, and may all your rolls be crits.